Assalamualaikum and hi. The first step in developing a strong sense of speech organization is to gain command of the three basic parts of a speech, which are introduction, body, and conclusion. In this topic, we deal with the body of the speech. The next topic will take up the introduction and the conclusion. Today's discussion will walk you through this outline, which includes organization is important, main points, supporting materials, and connectives. In public speaking, it is important for you to organize your speech. This includes the body, introduction, and the ending. You can organize strategically by putting a speech together in a particular way to achieve a particular result with a particular audience. Listeners demand coherence. A speech is like a movie. A director must be sure viewers can follow the plot of the film from beginning to end. So much a speaker must make sure that listeners can follow the progression of ideas in speech from beginning to end. Main points by definition is the major points developed in the body of a speech. Most speeches contains from 2 to 5 main points. The main points are the central features of your speech. You should select them carefully, phrase them precisely, and arrange them strategically. Here are the main points of a student's speech about the uses of hypnosis. These three main points form the skeleton of the body of the speech. If there are three major uses of hypnosis, then logically there can be three main points in the speech. Even if your main points are not stated expressly in your specific purpose, they may be easy to project from it. Let's say your specific purpose is to inform my audience of the basic steps in making stained glass windows. You know each of your main points will correspond to a step in the window making process. They might look like this in outline form. You will not have time in your classroom speeches to develop more than 4 or 5 main points, and most speeches will contain only 2 or 3. Regardless of how long a speech might run, if you have too many main points, the audience will have trouble sorting them out. If when you list your main points, you find that you have too many, you may be able to condense them into categories. As example, a set of main points for a speech about yoga includes deep inhalation, slow exhalation, prolonged pauses, provides benefit, involve all part of the body, increase flexibility, strengthen muscle tone, and demand precise movements. 8 points are way too many, but they can all fall into two broad categories, which are one part of a practicing yoga involves proper breathing, and another part of yoga involves body posture. Once you establish your main points, you need to decide the order in which will you present them. The most effective order depends on three things: your topic, your purpose, and your audience. First is chronological order. Speeches arranged chronologically follow a time pattern. They may narrate a series of events in the sequence in which they happened. Chronological order is especially useful for informative speeches. Second is special order. Speeches arranged in special order follow a directional pattern. That is, the main point proceeds from top to bottom, left to right, front to back, inside to outside, or east to west. Special order, like chronological order, is used most often in informative speeches. Third is causal order. Speeches arranged in causal order organize main points so as to show a cause-effect relationship. When you put your speech in causal order, you have two main points. One dealing with the causes of an event, the other dealing with its effects. Because of its versatility, causal order can be used for both persuasive speeches and informative speeches. Fourth is problem solution order. Speeches arranged in solution order are divided into two main parts. First is the existence of a problem, and the second is to present a solution to the problem. Problem solution order is most appropriate for persuasive speeches. And last is the topical order. Topical order results when you divide the speech topic into subtopics, each of which becomes a main point in the speech. Because it is applicable to almost any subject and to any kind of speech, topical order is used more often than any other method of speech organization. Here are some tips for preparing main points. Keep main points separate. Each main point in a speech should be clearly independent of the others. Try to use the same pattern of wording for main points. Please try to keep the wording parallel when you can. It's a good way to make your main points stand out from the details surrounding them. And lastly, balance the amount of time devoted to main points. Because your main points are so important, you want to be sure they all receive enough emphasis to be clear and convincing. This means allowing sufficient time to develop each main point. The amount of time spent on each main point depends on the amount of complexity of supporting materials for each point. By themselves, main points are only assertions. Listeners need supporting materials to accept what the speaker says. Three major kinds of supporting materials are examples, statistics, and testimony. We all have stock phrases that we use to fill the space between thoughts. In casual conversation, they are seldom troublesome. But in speech making, they distract listeners by calling attention to themselves. In delivering speeches, we need strong connectives. That is, words or phrases that join one thought to another and indicate the relationship between them. Without connectives, a speech is disjointed and uncoordinated. Four types of speech connectives are transitions, internal previews, internal summaries, and signposts. Let us look at it one by one. Transitions are for words or phrases that indicate when a speaker has just completed one thought and is moving on to another. Example given here are the use of words, let me share. Technically, the transitions state both the idea and speaker is leaving and the idea she or he is coming up to. Internal previews let the audience know what the speaker will take up next, but they are more detailed than transitions. In effect, an internal preview works just like the previous statement in a speech introduction, except that it comes in the body of the speech. Usually, as the speaker is starting to discuss a main point, internal previews are often combined with transitions. Internal summaries are the reverse of internal previews. Rather than letting listeners know what is coming up next, internal summaries remind listeners of what they have just heard. Such summaries are often used when a speaker finishes a complicated or particularly important main points or sort of main points. Signposts are very brief statements that indicate exactly where you are in the speech. Frequently, they are just number. Here are examples of simple numerical signposts. Words such as the first course of, the second course, or even the final course. Questions are particularly effective as signposts because they invite subliminal answers that get the audience more involved with the speech. Besides using signposts to indicate where you are in the speech, you can use them to focus attention on key ideas. You can do this with a simple phrase such as the most important point to remember and be sure to keep this in mind. Clear organization is vital to speech making. Listeners demand coherence. They get one chance to grasp a speaker's ideas, and they have little patience for speakers who ramble aimlessly from one idea to another. A well organized speech will enhance your credibility and make it easier for the audience to understand your message. So, that's all for this topic. Thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum.